Some disappearances leave behind more questions than answers, and these unsolved cases are as chilling as they are mysterious. In this list of the top 12 haunting unsolved disappearances, we'll explore baffling cases that have confounded investigators for decades, leaving families shattered and the world haunted by the unknown. From people vanishing without a trace to eerie clues that seem to lead nowhere, each of these stories will send shivers down your spine and leave you questioning what really happened. Are you ready to dive into the dark side of mystery? Johnny Gosch, the original milk carton kid. The disappearance of Johnny Gosch on September 5th, 1982, was one of the most haunting unsolved mysteries in U.S. history. 12-year-old Johnny vanished during his early morning paper route, which was to be done in Des Moines, Iowa. A neighbor reported having witnessed Johnny talking to a man inside a vehicle. It was not clear what the conversation was about. Later that morning, when subscribers phoned in that they haven't received their papers, police found Johnny's red wagon full of papers 2 blocks away from his address. Police refused to institute a search for him because of the so-called 72-hour waiting rule on missing persons, something which only frustrated the family. The case took on a darker tone 2 years later, when another local paperboy named Eugene Martin disappeared under similar circumstances. Johnny's mother, Noreen Gosch, has long believed her son was kidnapped into a child trafficking ring and has since devoted herself to advocating for missing children. She even went so far as to say Johnny came to see her in 1997, though her ex-husband and the police doubted her. The years have passed on with one lurid lead after another, including those disturbing photos of bound boys that were mailed to Noreen in 2006. But no answers have surfaced. The disappearance of Brandon Lawson. Brandon Lawson disappeared under mysterious conditions on August 8, 2013, on a sparsely traveled portion of Highway 277 near Brant, Texas. His truck had run out of gas, and he made a panicked 911 call, where he apparently said he was being chased, stating at one point that he was bleeding.
Yes, I'm in the middle of the field. It's like we're just pushing some guys over. Right here going towards Javelin on both sides. My truck ran out of gas. There's one car here. The guys taking to the woods. Quick burning.
Okay, now run that by.
The one I talked to home. I surely ran into him.
Ah, you ran into him. Okay.
That's the first guy.
You need an ambulance?
Yeah, no, I need to call.
Okay. Is anybody hurt? Hello? Hello? Hello?
Much of the call was not understood, with poor cell reception, adding to the confusion. His girlfriend and brother arrived sometime later, but there was no sign of Brandon. A search by authorities turned up nothing. Theories abounded, including foul play and voluntary disappearance. His family continues to hope, but despite several organized searches and a robust online presence committed to finding answers, nothing even approaching a credible lead has come to the fore. The chilling 911 call raises more questions than answers about what really happened that night. Disappearance of Maura Murray. Maura Murray was a nursing student who disappeared on February 9, 2004, under circumstances that became progressively more mysterious, and who quickly became one of the most baffling unsolved mysteries of recent times. Maura had been acting strangely in the days leading up to her disappearance. The night she disappeared, Maura had driven her car onto a rural road in Woodsville, New Hampshire, and crashed. Although she assured a passerby that she did not need any help, she disappeared before the police arrived. Investigators learned that in the days leading up to the incident, Maura had taken out an extraordinary amount of money, and this fueled speculation that Maura intended to vanish of her free will. Other evidence, such as a rag being inserted into her car's tailpipe, allowed for the possibility of foul play. Throughout the years, theories run the gamut from accidental death to murder or suicide. No concrete evidence was ever found that proved her location. Henry McCabe, the terrifying voicemail. On September 7, 2015, a disturbing voicemail received from her husband, Henry McCabe, still today gives chills down the spine of investigators. The voicemail was unlike anything she had ever heard, filled with strange growling sounds, moaning, and what sounded like Henry's voice faintly uttering the words, "Stop it." On that night, Henry was out with some friends at a bar in Minnesota, but after being dropped off at a gas station, he vanished. His body was found submerged in a lake 6 miles away from where he was last seen, 2 months later. The thing that makes this case really weird is that no visible evidence of trauma or injury was seen in the autopsy, thus leaving a lot of questions behind. To this date, those bizarre noises on the voicemail and the exact circumstances of Henry's death remain unexplained. The death of Henry McCabe is still considered one of the eeriest unsolved mysteries of the recent past. Disappearance of Brianna Maitland. The disappearance of Brianna Maitland on March 19, 2004 in Montgomery, Vermont, has continued to remain unsolved and full of speculation. 17-year-old Brianna was last seen leaving her place of work, the Black Lantern Inn. The next morning, her car was found backed into an abandoned building with its lights still on, but no Brianna. Her disappearance left investigators to wonder if she had simply gone out by her own choice or had been abducted. Over the years, there have been a number of reported sightings of Brianna that were never confirmed. Some say she could have been one of those victims of foul play, as Brianna was known to associate with people linked to criminal activities. Her family still holds out hope, but the mystery of her disappearance remains unclear, and no real clues have been found up until now. Chris Kremers and Lisanne Froon. In April 2014, Dutch students Chris Kremers and Lisanne Froon went on what was supposed to be a happy hiking trip in Panama, but turned out to be a sad mystery that has kept investigators going for some time. When the women failed to return from their hike, a massive search was mounted, but nothing was found until, 10 weeks later, their possessions were spotted by a riverbank, a camera, and cell phones. The devices held harrowing clues, several attempts to call emergency services, along with some nighttime photos that are rather eerie, including some seemingly of signs of distress or injury, one seemingly of the back of Chris's head. The mystery deepened when scattered bones, including a pelvic bone and a foot still inside a boot, were discovered. After all these years of investigation, their immediate cause of death may never be known, leaving their families to wonder in anguish exactly what happened on their doomed trip. The disappearance of Bryce Lespisa. Bryce Lespisa was a 19-year-old college student whose behavior, in the days and moments leading up to his disappearance on August 30th, 2013, would leave many questions in the minds of friends and family. He had been acting erratically for days, and on the day of his disappearance, Bryce told his parents he was driving home to Southern California. Hours later, his SUV was found overturned near Castaic Lake, with his wallet, phone, and other belongings still inside. By the time they arrived, however, Bryce was gone. From drug use and mental health problems, a number of theories have been floated, all the way to foul play. Though several searches were undertaken, the body of Bryce was never found, and the family was just devastated and left with no answers. The disappearance of Bobby Dunbar. One of the most bizarre missing person cases in American annals is the disappearance of Bobby Dunbar back in 1912. When he was 4 years old, Bobby disappeared during a family fishing trip in Louisiana. After the massive search, they discovered a boy matching the description of Bobby in custody of a handyman named William Walters. He said the boy wasn't Bobby, but Bruce Anderson, the son of their family friend. On the other side, the Dunbars believed that boy belonged to them and took him home. DNA testing decades later proved that the boy was not Bobby Dunbar after all, and what happened to the real Bobby remained a mystery. The disappearance of Tara Calico. Tara Calico, 19, was a college student who disappeared on a routine bike ride near her home in Belen, New Mexico on September 20th, 1988. An unprecedented search effort ensued, but no trace of Tara or her bike was ever found. Things took a creepy turn in 1989 when a Polaroid photo arrived in Florida, depicting a young woman and a boy bound and gagged in the back of a van. Many thought the girl might be Tara, but there was no concrete evidence to show that was the case. Some theories into her disappearance are abduction and trafficking, but all have led to nothing, and no new leads seem to have turned up in recent times, thus leaving the case unsolved. Jamal Khashoggi. Murder inside a consulate. The Saudi journalist Jamal Khashoggi was a well-acknowledged critic of the Saudi government. He was murdered when he entered the Saudi consulate in Istanbul for getting some paperwork involving his marriage. What ensued was international outcry, as it became crystal clear that Khashoggi had been brutally murdered inside the consulate, allegedly on orders from the highest levels of the Saudi government, including Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. His death is horrific. The poor man was dismembered, and his remains have never been recovered. The international community, including intelligence agencies, condemned Saudi Arabia for his killing, but justice has yet to be delivered. Khashoggi's death turned out to be a creepy warning of the risks that those speaking against autocratic regimes stand to face. His murder has left lasting scars on global diplomacy, with the world still calling for accountability in what many view as a state-sponsored execution. The disappearance of the Sadr children. Among the most profound and inexplicable unsolved mysteries in American history was the disappearance of 5 Sadr children on Christmas Eve, 1945, in Fayetteville, West Virginia, in a house fire. No remains were ever found despite the home being reduced to ashes. Over the years, many theories came forward, including abduction or involvement in organized crime, possibly the mafia. The case has been laced with the sightings of the children, strange ransom notes, and failed investigations. Despite their relentless efforts, the Sadr family never found answers, and such is how this mystery of the children's fate has always lingered. Brian Schaefer, the vanishing at the bar. In 2006, Brian Schaefer was an Ohio State University medical student who disappeared under very mysterious circumstances. On spring break, Brian and his friend William Florence hit the bars in Columbus, Ohio on the night of March 31st. Surveillance camera footage put Brian outside the Ugly Tuna Saloon bar, talking to 2 women. Brian disappeared for a moment, then was never seen again, walking back into the bar. Despite cameras showing him all over the city, he was never seen exiting, and he was never seen again. The Ugly Tuna Saloon only had one main entrance and exit, making this fact much more mysterious. Since the disappearance, many theories have been advanced from accidental death to a calculated crime. Others feel that his friend Florence was suspicious since she would not take a polygraph test. Other theories explain that Brian might have left voluntarily to start a new life. However, despite intense investigations and scrutiny by the media, Brian's disappearance became one of modern history's most baffling unsolved mysteries. These 12 haunting cases remind us that the world can be a far scarier place than we imagine, where people can disappear without a trace, and the truth remains elusive. The chilling nature of these mysteries lingers long after the stories are told, leaving behind a sense of dread and the eerie question, could this happen again? Don't forget to like, share, and spread the word about these unsolved disappearances, because maybe, just maybe, someone out there holds the missing piece of the puzzle.